G'day and welcome to Does It Matter? Just a brief one today. Just as something was occurring to me just as I was preparing to go to work, which is that I've said for years that our intelligence is both our boon and our bane, because it seems that most human beings, from what I can see, walk on the edge of insanity. We're barely sane. And our intelligence seems to both ramp up our ability to understand the world around us, ourselves, and the complexity that we're embedded within, but it also can tip us into insanity, into irrationality and psychosis and neurosis very, very easily. And it's been a theme in a number of different philosophical discourses and popular cultural references that, that our intelligence can drive us a little batty. And I've felt that there was some truth to that for a long time. I disagree now. I've changed my mind. I think humans are intelligent enough to escape some of our primal programming, some of our survival orientation, but we are still bound strongly by a primal bundling of instincts and genetics that we haven't entirely escaped from, which is, I think, a very strong inference that we are not yet intelligent enough. I think it's a fairly defensible proposal that we're smart enough to go crazy, we're smart enough to change the world and ourselves, we're smart enough to fall off the cliff into the abyss of nuttiness, and we do so on a daily and regular basis. We're smart enough to come back from that as well, sometimes at least. But we haven't really remotely escaped the peril that our unstable wiring, our unstable conglomeration of different brain sections that evolved at different periods in our species history and our evolution has triggered and developed through time and selection. We're not smart enough to overcome that yet. My suspicion is that we'll be moving along the lines of us being smart enough to re-engineer ourselves at a fundamental level and understanding ourselves at the quantum level in terms of the nature of consciousness. La da da. So, yeah, we're smart enough to really trip ourselves over. But intelligence should free us from most of the perils of sapiency and sentiency that we have stumbled over for quite some time. The more intelligent we become, especially if you're thinking of intelligence in a global sense, not just a Mensa sense or an isolated sense, how fast you can calculate mathematics or have perfect memory or eidetics or anything like that. No, a global sense, as in, supremely wise, almost supernaturally intelligent, but also wise, balanced, understanding the heuristics of very, very complex, far-reaching systems, looking long-term as in decades, not a few months or a year or two. That's not long-term. Yeah. So there it is. We are smart enough to fuck ourselves up. We are smart enough to rescue ourselves from our fuck-ups, at least sometimes. But we are not yet smart enough to escape the primal trap of our flawed development via natural selection. Evolution is a neglectful parent. It does not care whether we are best fit for the job, only that we can competently fulfill our programming and our adaptive programming. And if we can't, it wipes us out because extinction is the rule. So yeah, maybe we need to get smarter. I've said that for a while too. And this sort of flip in my thinking suggests that perhaps that might be even more the case. We're smart enough to hurt ourselves. We've been kind of smart enough so far to fix some of our mistakes and progress regardless. I do believe we're approaching a time and a set of challenges where we will need to change the nature of ourselves, our species, in order to meet the challenges of the future. We're going to have to get smarter. Education programs can help. We don't know what the outside limit of human intelligence is. We could probably push that quite a bit further. But eventually, yes, it's going to be cybernetics and genetic engineering. That scares people, but yeah. So did the steam engine, so did writing, so did the printing press. It didn't wipe us out. It did quite the opposite. Caused a lot of tumult and disruption, yes. But they were all net positives in the long run, as will be the cybernetics and the nanotech and all that stuff too. Yeah, let's get smarter. Yeah, that's the future. Cheers. Puss.